Hello, today I want to talk to you about frugal living and I want to give you my best tips and how-tos for saving money. I'm Charlotte Jessup and welcome to the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. So I'm a big fan of frugal living and it's one of the things that my family and I have done to really accelerate our financial goals. We've achieved a lot of things through frugal living, from reducing our hours of work to traveling the world and for saving up for other things that we want around the house. It's really allowed us to save a lot of money and do some great things. So what is frugal living? Frugal living is the act of cutting back in the areas that you don't care about so that you can spend more money on the things that you do care about. I don't think that frugal living has anything to do with being cheap. It's not about wearing shoes with holes in the bottom. It's not about cutting back on the things that you actually love. What it is about prioritizing how you spend your money. I guess you could call it conscious spending. It's making sure that you're spending money in the right places and you're not wasting money on the things that you don't care about. So why should you consider frugal living? Why is the frugal lifestyle going to work for you? So let's say you've got a big goal. Maybe you want to save for a house. Maybe you want to have a few more holidays every year, but you might be wasting money. Maybe you're wasting money on designer clothes, but you don't actually care about designer clothes. Or maybe you are spending money on a coffee because everyone in your office goes out and gets coffee at break or at lunchtime. If that is you and these things that you're spending your money on aren't actually bringing you any joy or any happiness, then maybe you want to look at frugal living instead. So like I say, frugal living is not about being cheap. It's not about cutting out all the things that bring you joy. It's about just thinking more carefully about where your money is going. And this is going to be different for everyone. So maybe you're the sort of person that doesn't really like going on holiday, but you're a big fan of looking good and feeling good. So for you, it makes sense to cut back on things like travel and actually to spend more money on things like clothes. We're going to prioritize our spending and we're going to use frugal living to help us achieve the things that we love and to stop wasting money on the things that we don't. So here are my top tips for you. Number one, now this one isn't necessarily going to give you something you can jump straight into action, but I hope it will give you some guidance about what to do to live a more frugal life. So this first one is about getting a goal. I talk about this a lot in budgeting and in general finance management. So what I really want is you to get really clear on what you love and where you want to spend your money. So this could be, I want to go traveling for a year, and this is something that I did with my family, and we got absolutely focused on that goal. We knew that we had to save our money and we had to cut back in other areas so that we can make that dream a reality. So by having that goal, it gave us this laser focus. Everything then became compared to that goal. So when we were sitting there thinking, do we want a takeaway tonight? We were like, well, that's £30 that we will not be able to put towards our travel goal. And then it became a direct comparison. It was like, do we want this thing versus this bigger dream? And yes, there were some times where we were like, you know what? We're happy to spend £30 on this takeaway because actually we're really stressed out and we haven't got time to cook. And that actually brought us more joy in that moment. But it gives you something to compare it to. You start making more conscious choices. So get a goal, get absolutely clear on what you're trying to achieve through frugal living. It's my absolute number one tip, and that's why I've put it first. Get clear on what you want to do. And this can be anything from paying off your mortgage, clearing your debt, buying a second property, anything like this that you really want to achieve. Make sure you are very clear in your mind what that looks like, and you know when you are spending money that is what the comparison is with. Is it this big goal, or is it this thing now that you get and maybe you'll enjoy for a short period of time? Make that comparison every time you spend, and having that goal is absolutely key. Number two, reviewing your bills. So this is something I do all the time. Whenever I'm budgeting, I look at my bills and see if there's any that I can cut back or reduce or get rid of entirely. Get into a habit of doing this. Keep records around when contracts are ending. So if you've got a 1-year contract on your phone, maybe keep a record of that so that you know when you can start looking for a new phone contract or a better deal. Do the same with electricity, gas bills, insurances, all these things that need renewing regularly. monthly, keep an eye on them and save money wherever you can. It's really good if you keep good records with your budgeting so that you can see how things have gone up in value or down in value as time has passed. And reviewing your bills regularly is a really good frugal living tip to keep track of your spending and make sure that you can save as much money as you can. Number 3, now this ties in nicely with the previous one, and it is cashback sites. Use cashback sites wherever you can. So my favorites are Quidco and Top Cashback, and I've popped some links below with some extra bonus deals if you've not signed up for those. Now I use cashback sites for everything from checking my bills. So every time I renew my bills, I will go over to one of these sites and see if there's any cashback on those particular websites that I'm looking at or the energy company. And I also use it for when I'm shopping as well. So if I'm looking for birthday presents or clothes or things from around my house, I will go to a cashback site and see if I can get any money back on those purchases. Now, the way cashback sites work is they're just like a third person. So they act between the company and yourself. And it's essentially affiliate marketing. So the company, so let's say you're buying from a clothes retailer, this clothes retailer will give Quidco some money for sending you to their website. And what Quidco or Top Cashback or whatever other cashback site you choose to use, what they do is they give you some of that money back. So let's say this retailer is going to give you 5% back on whatever you purchase. So Quidco, Top Cashback, any of these, they might give you 4% and they keep 1% themselves. So you get money back in your pocket. I recommend you check out cashback sites anytime you're making a purchase or anytime you're spending money online. Number 4 is about food. Food is a big expense for most of us. We all need to eat, so we're all spending money on food. And if you're like me and you've got a family, you probably find yourself spending a lot of money on food. Now, there are a few ways that you can exercise frugal living around your food costs. So the first thing I like to do is when I'm shopping, I look for the best prices. And I do this by looking at the cost per weight or the cost per quantity or the cost per item. Now, most of the time we see the price in big, and that's the price of the whole thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the cheapest one. You might get a smaller quantity for that price than another product. So if you have a little look in small in the labels, you will see that there will be price per 100 grams or price per kilo or price per litre. And you can make direct comparisons between products using those prices. That way you're looking at how much you get for your money rather than just the price overall. Another thing I love to do with food is to meal plan. So actually plan out the food that we're going to have to make sure that we're not wasting food. Food waste is a big issue and it's also very expensive too. So create a meal plan. I have lots of printables for meal planning in my shop on my website. I will drop a link in the description so you can go and check those out. But it's really simple. You just plan out what you're going to have for the week. You look at all the ingredients and you only buy those things. It's great if you can really think ahead and start looking at what's coming up in the week. Maybe your kid's got a dance lesson and that means you're late to dinner, so you plan a quick meal for that so that you are not trying to do a big meal that maybe gets neglected and you switch out for a takeaway. Meal planning is a really good frugal living habit and I recommend that you get started with that soon. Number 5 is DIY. We've been doing a lot of DIY in this household recently, and the reason that we opt to do these things ourselves is not just because we're in the middle of lockdown and there's no one coming around, but it's because we can save a whole load of money too. So we've done a lot of things in our house, from decorating to repairing things to putting flooring, and installing a kitchen is the latest one. So we've had all sorts of different things that we've tried to challenge ourselves with, and it's saved us so much money. A lot of people are put off by DIY because they think they don't have the skills or the tools, but there's a lot of information on the internet, on YouTube, where you can find out how to do these things. And some jobs are super simple. We've had issues with like our dishwasher, and it turned out that we just needed to turn the dishwasher upside down and reconnect a hose. And we only found out about that through watching a YouTube video. We would have replaced that dishwasher if we hadn't have taken that approach, and that would have cost us hundreds of pounds. Instead, our dishwasher was perfectly fine and we fixed it ourselves. So if you can use the resources that are available on the internet to learn a new skill, then you can save yourself a fortune by doing some of these jobs around your house yourself. Number 6 is to shop when things are cheaper. So normally we shop based on need, but if we can plan ahead and shop when things are at a lower price, we can actually save ourselves a huge amount of money. An example of this is things like Christmas and birthdays. We know these things are coming up. They happen every year. So if we can plan ahead, we can buy things at a cheaper price. So you could do this for your kids' gifts. You can do this for the adults in your life as well. And it also works for other things. So for example, if you are looking for stuff for summer wear, the best time to get summer wear is at the end of summer. That's when it all goes cheap, so you can get ready for next season. Maybe think about how old your kids are going to be next summer and get them some swimwear or some shorts and some t-shirts and things like that in autumn time when things are reduced and they're trying to clear the shelves. The same goes for winter stuff. The best time to get winter stuff is in the spring. Again, they're trying to clear out the shelves and you can think ahead, get ready, think about what needs replacing and what you might need next year. You can do the same again for school uniform. So get school uniform in sort of October, November. That's when it's really cheap and you can get prepared for the year ahead. That way your kids have got the right size clothes and you've got them for a bargain price. Number 7 is an easy one. This is to shop secondhand. There are lots of great things that you can get secondhand and you don't experience any sort of loss of quality. So 2 great examples of this are clothes and furniture. Lots of these things are in still good condition. They're in great condition and you can get lots of use and wear out of these things without feeling like you're wearing second-rate clothing. You can go to charity shops, so you can look on websites like eBay. There are lots of great deals on there and you can get some really quality pieces, both of clothing, furniture. We've also got toys and bikes and things like that for our kids for really good prices, and you save money and you're stopping all of these things from going into the bin and becoming waste prematurely. So number 8 is to look at food waste apps. So as you know, I'm a big fan of looking after the environment and food waste is a real issue. There are some great apps out there. One of my favorites is Olio. I'll drop a link to that too, and it's a food waste app. Lots of people are contributing things onto this, but also supermarkets and cafes are getting involved as well. There are food heroes in your area that go to supermarkets, they pick up all the food that's going out of date that day, and they share it in the community so you can get your hands on some stuff for free. It's a great way to cut back on your spending on food, and it stops a whole load of food waste as well. It's a really good frugal living tip, and we've been using it a lot. It's particularly good for things like bread and vegetables, so you can get yourself some free stuff and add it to your meal plan for the week. Number 9 is to borrow. I love borrowing things from friends and family rather than buying them myself, and that's for obvious reasons. It saves me a whole load of money and we get some more use out of these things that we've purchased. So my family and my friends, we all share the tools, the equipment that we have to make sure that we're not doubling up. There is no need for all of us to have these things. Instead, we can all have some of them and we share them out amongst themselves. So this goes really well with the one about DIY. So sometimes there's some specialist equipment that you need, but you only need it for one job or for a short period of time. So why not borrow that from a friend or borrow that from a family member rather than going out and buying it for yourself? You'll be able to do the same great job without spending all of that money on another tool. Sometimes you'll find that your friends and family don't have it, so that's your cue to go out and buy those things. But then make sure that you're lending it to them. Help other people out for saving money as well. And number 10, this is my last tip. This is not so much a practical one as something a bit bigger. I want you to think about the big savings you can make. Sometimes we can get caught up on saving a few pence here or a few pounds there, where actually it's the bigger things that we need to be looking at. And there are bigger savings to be had out there. So this goes for things like your bills. Where can you save £10? Where can you save £20? And then keep doing that month after month after month. Some big ones are things like a car. Rather than buying a brand new car on finance, could you go for a second-hand car and pay it in cash? That would be a huge saving in the long run, and ultimately it's just a vehicle that gets you from A to B. As long as it's safe and reliable, you can get yourself a much better value deal and save money in the long run. Another great example of this is on things like mortgages and rent. You want to get those things as low as possible without sacrificing your quality of life, but overall these amounts are going to build up over time. If you've got a 25 or a 30-year mortgage, try and get that on the best rate rate you possibly can. Otherwise, that amount of money that you are overspending is going to build up over time, and you will find that you end up wasting a whole load of money that could be spent on better things. So when it comes to frugal living, look at the bigger picture, start there, and then work down to the smaller things once you've dealt with the big things. I'm a big fan of frugal living, and I think you should be too. I don't like to see money wasted on things where it could be spent enjoying ourselves and spending it on the stuff we love. So let me know in the comments what you do to live a frugal life, or if you've got anything that you think needs to be added to this video. On top of that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video and share it with your friends. It's good to get the message out there, and the more people that are spending consciously, the better we are using our money. Thank you for watching this video, and watch out for the next one.